There's this one theory that I get requests about all the time, and I figured it was about time to make a video talking about it. It all has to do with some rather questionable codes in the game files, which have led a lot of people to believe that our starter horse will die. But will it really, or is there a different explanation? Let's discuss. First things first, where does this theory even come from? Well, it originates from a theory by SSO Theory Time, where she was looking at some strange things in the game files. Huge props to her, by the way, because her work is amazing. Anyway, it's pretty much the same as what I've been doing in some of my videos. So, she found a lot of interesting things in there, including some codes that said horse die and horse dead. These are presumably for our starter horse, because the same horse also has a unique code that says fly. And as we all know, our starter horse is the only one that can fly. There are also similar codes for our player character. So naturally, this has caused a lot of speculation back and forth on whether or not our starter horse will actually die at some point along the story. So the first thing I did was to find these codes myself, and indeed, they're still there. Under the code GH3, which stands for Game Horse 3, I assume, are the codes die and dead. And under the code GC1, which stands for Game Character 1, are the codes horse die and horse dead. So clearly, this is something concerning our horse that also has some kind of effect on our character. I was questioning why our starter horse is called GH3 and not, 1 or 2, but I think that may be because our horse has been updated 2 times before, from the Generation 1 to the Generation 1.5 and now the Generation 3. But I do expect people to still be very interested in these codes regardless of where they're placed or what they're for, so is that it? Our starter horse is gonna die? Well, I don't think it's that simple. Let me ask you something. How would you feel if your starter horse died? I'm gonna guess that a large majority would be really upset, even devastated, by the death of their starter horse. Or any of their horses, really. Because even though this is just a game and the horses are not real, the story is setting us up to feel connected to our horses, and especially our starter. We buy them, name them, and train them, they have needs, they have moods, and sometimes we can even talk with them. So imagine what would happen if our starter horse died in the story. There would be an absolute uproar of angry parents whose children are now crying over the loss of their beloved horse. People would straight up refuse to do the quests because they don't want their horse to die. Even I, not a horse person, would be upset if my starter died. I mean, we've shared this whole adventure together. It's become way too personal for them to just kill him off. Okay, so what if it's not our horse that will die? What if it's a different horse? Well, yeah, that would definitely be more possible. Maybe there's this scene where we defeat the Dark Riders and the horses die. Maybe we get a vision of Concord's death, which certainly would explain the fly thing. Or maybe it's just a random horse that tragically dies at the rescue ranch or something. Who knows? But although this is way more likely than our own horse dying, I do have some things to add here too. If this is a story thing or any part of a quest at all, then the code would say so, regardless of which horse we're talking about. If it's a specific scene, it's gonna say .scene, and if it's a quest, it's gonna start with QC, which means quest chain. But these codes are for the horse and player character, and they end with .pan, which seems to be animations. Another thing to note is that if this was content made for a quest, it would have already happened by now. It's been almost 2 years since these codes were discovered, and the team wouldn't make quests that long ahead of time without releasing them. Think about it, they spent 8 weeks creating Wildwoods. I don't think they would leave main story content in the files for 2 years without doing anything with it. It's scrapped at that point. So that raises the question, what are the codes for? I hate to break it to you, but they don't need to mean anything special at all. In fact, I think they may be for when our horse takes a dangerous fall. Or better yet, when the horse's health bar runs out, such as when we get hit by a truck. Because when either of those things happen, the horse kind of is dying. In one instance, we get sent back onto whichever cliff we fell off when taking a dangerous fall, and in the other, we're sent back to our stable with a message saying our horse has been injured. I don't know if these count as animations or something else, but whatever it is, there has to be codes for it, right? And now I'm sure that there are at least some of you out there asking, okay, but why is it unique for the starter horse then? And I want to answer that with another question. How do we know that it is? If we look at the codes for the other horses, we'll discover that they're full of walking animations, rearing animations, model codes, and other things that are different for every single breed. But what if there are things that are the same for all horses? Would those codes be copied and pasted onto every single breed? I imagine not. It makes sense for the starter to have more codes, not only because it's special, but also because it's the first horse, and one that absolutely everyone has. I am by no means an expert in coding, and I can't pick these codes apart and tell you exactly what they mean, but I have a hard time believing that they are actually for the death of our starter horse. The story just isn't set up for it, and these codes that were found 2 years ago might as well have a natural explanation. That being said, if there are any experts out there who know this stuff better than me, then do feel free to correct me if I'm wrong. Once again, no hate towards SSO Theory Time. I absolutely love what she does, and this was just one of those things I'd like to talk about because so many have asked about it. I'll leave the link to her video down in the description in case you want to check it out yourself. I hope you enjoyed this video, and as always, if you did, I'll see you around. Bye!